Dear guests, it's good to be here, and it's also good to see that, after the break, everybody's in the room already, so we were a bit late as well, but that's a very busy day today. But I'm really glad to address you at this conference. We can never accuse of European Union to be out of character. So when it was clear some years back that disinformation was seeping into our societies, the EU did what it usually does best. We established a new department, we carried out extensive analysis and created many new acronyms in the process. Stratcom came first, then came the one that we are discussing today, FIMI. But behind these acronyms, an extremely important operation is taking place. We are steadily equipping Europe to fight one of the biggest international threats our societies face. A threat that cuts into the heart of democracy, because democracy is built on trust. If the people can't trust what they know or hear, they also don't participate in the elections and all these worries that come with it. Falsehood presented as facts. We have data that is being manipulated. We have outright lies being told. Last week I was in the United Nations Security Council, and although all the other countries were super positive about Europe and what we are doing, including China, by the way, and Pakistan, about European Union, then Russia's intervention was so full of lies, rewriting history, everything, that, when it was my turn to react, I actually said that, this is a clear illustration why we need to really fight together with false information, because it's coming from a very, very high level. I was not surprised, of course. Russia has a history of spreading lies at home and also abroad. But when the headlines have been printed and the seeds of doubt have already been sown, it is extremely dangerous. If disinformation is a bullet through the heart of democracy, FIMI is the gun, the shooter, and the entire arsenal. Our latest reporting shows that Russia and China have massive digital infrastructure in place to conduct FIMI operations. Last year alone, more than 90 countries and over 300 organizations were targets of these attacks. From the Paris Olympic and Paralympic Games to the presidential elections in Moldova and Romania. We saw everything from disinformation about farmers' protests in Germany to biased material trying to legitimize Russia's influence in the Middle East. It is a major global threat. So the question is, what can we do about it? 3 examples of what we are already doing. First, by exposing networks, we raise the cost for the perpetrators. They have to create new accounts, websites, content. They have to rebuild their audiences and face additional scrutiny, so it also slows them down. Last year, we uncovered an information laundering operation. We called it false facade. Much like a money laundering scheme, it was hiding the source of information for it to make it seem legitimate. And that's one of the biggest problems with FIMI. Sometimes it doesn't come directly from the mouth of the Russian ambassador. Sometimes it comes from where you least expect it. For example, the Kremlin-operated doppelganger campaign imitated the websites of Le Monde, Die Welt, The Guardian, and other renowned outlets. Second, increasing our awareness also improves our defense. Today, we have the world's largest public database of its kind, EU versus Disinfo. And the numbers are mind-blowing. Experts in the External Action Service have uncovered more than 18,000 cases of pro-Kremlin disinformation. Last year alone, 38 million people, including fact-checkers, made use of the EU versus Disinfo website and social media channels. We need more work like this. And third, by sanctioning the perpetrators, we cause them major inconveniences. Today, there are more than 50 individuals and 2,000 outlets on the EU sanctions list. There are outlets under full editorial control of the government waging an illegal war in Europe. Sanctions slow them down. They have to work hard to circumvent sanctions. They have to use VPNs to bypass geographical restrictions, and they have to set up new sites to mirror sanctioned outlets or build them from the scratch. FIMI is not the communications issue. FIMI is not about the battle of narratives or the myth, my truth versus your truth. Our information space is nothing less than a geopolitical battleground where we are currently actually losing the war. Russia has invested over €1 billion in their state-controlled propaganda outlets in the last few years. It is increasing year on year. And this doesn't include what they are spending on their intelligence services or for their covered proxies operating worldwide. And of course, they are not alone. We can only guess how much China is investing in their own FIMI armory. And they have the means to do it. Like I always say, Chinese are very good in technology, but not that good in social sciences. The Russians, vice versa, are very good in social sciences, not that good in technology. But combining the two means it's very, very dangerous. Our own budget is 100 times smaller at least. We may not have so much money, but we are making the most of what we do have. And that is our community. The EU's rapid alert system connects every member state to a network where experts can flag to everyone when they see something suspicious. One member state recently alerted another member state to the possibility of impending cyber attack. When the attack finally struck, the member state in question was already prepared and able to limit its damage. But it is obvious we need to allocate more resources and take this threat more seriously. Again, I want to stress, FIMI is not a communications issue. It is a tactic of war. So what more can we do? We need to reap the benefits of the artificial intelligence and not just address the risks. The artificial intelligence can detect patterns by analyzing large data sets, uncover a network of bots, can also verify information by cross-referencing it with trusted resources, and can help identify key influencers in the operations. And we have to ask, why is it possible for offenders to use openly available resources like the App Store and Google Play? Why are they able to use Western payment systems? We cannot let our adversaries use our own tools against us. This is totally asymmetric fight. One side is sticking to the set of internationally agreed rules, and the other one is not. So let me be clear. We should never forego our fundamental values and integrity. But we can physically counterattacks and explore how we can use our own cyber measures to take out parts of FIMI machinery. Internationally, there is now a growing coalition of liberal democracies working together to fight FIMI. Last summer, Poland hosted EU member states, the UK and the US, to analyze Russian operations in Africa. In Asia, EU diplomats trained in this area are in high demand. They are seen as more neutral than the United States in this part of the world. International work to fight the threat is really just beginning, and the European Union is well placed to address it. We have over 140 delegations and 20 civilian and military missions and operations across the globe. And we are now training hundreds of our diplomats countering FIMI. The G7 has also been active for some time. I just got back from Canada from the G7 meeting in Charlevoix, and last year, G7 leaders, tried to form a multilateral forum, called for a collective response framework. But again, behind this jargon, there are also clear results. We recently exposed funding and orders from Kremlin telling Russia Today, a social design agency, to subvert societies using global disinformation and influence campaigns. When you have the evidence, you can call a spade a spade. This is a state-sponsored attack. This is why NATO has also set up a department specialized in the data analysis. They now have the NATO Cybersecurity Center. But the point is, we are starting to understand this as a serious security threat from the outside. We have fought half of the battle because we recognize this problem exists. Now we must also fight back. For a start, we have to build up our resilience as individuals, whether is it at the UN Security Council or in the comfort of our own homes. We cannot take anything we read or hear today as given. We know a lie travels halfway across the world before the truth gets its pants on. We know free speech is not the same as speech free of lies. We know we have to live with this. It means that for a healthy, resilient democracy, we have to be active participants and readers too. We must be curious and check the information we get, especially when it comes from the dubious sources. We have to educate ourselves. I must tell that back when I was Prime Minister of Estonia, then we did also the campaigns for the media literacy. And actually, it's not the problem with the young people who actually understand this much better, whereas it's a much bigger problem with the aging population that have been used to believing everything they read from the media. But the sources now are very different, and you have to be source critique as well. This education also includes education about the threat we face. This is not just disinformation or lies. This is a manipulation with intent to destroy democracy. We must also support the independent media and journalists, and that's why we also need to support Radio Free Europe. It's also why fighting FIMI will be a strong part of the new European Democracy Shield. You will hear more about from my dear colleague, Commissioner here, on social media, face-to-face, or on stage of any conference. Our democracies should not be spaces where foreign actors can pressure us to think in certain ways. So let me conclude here. FIMI is a fundamental part of the hybrid war. It often precedes conventional attacks. We have seen this all over Europe, including Ukraine. There are malign actors, including Russia and China, that have built industrial-scale machinery to manipulate our information environments. Their aim is to polarize societies and make it impossible to engage in constructive, informed dialogue. We must consider the integrity of our information space as important as our territorial integrity. We must fight back. Thank you.